We have a lot to dig in today, so let's go to our legal panel. Misty Marris, trial attorney and legal analyst, and trial attorney Mercedes Colwin. Welcome to you both. First of all, I just want to get your quick reactions to how she did on the stand. Today was direct testimony, right. So she's rehearsed this. This was her own lawyer questioning her. Mercedes, how did she do?
I thought she did a really good job of looking at that jury. She has to connect with them. And it's all about, look, that we had a great relationship. There's no conceivable way I could have at least detected that there was any violence in my son. So she really did a good job of trying to connect with the jury. Interesting, when she was being asked questions about that school meeting, she's looking away. Suddenly, she's not able to really direct her focus on the jury. So obviously, she's a little concerned about that part of her testimony. But overall, she's doing her best to connect to that jury. She has to. This is the only way she can save herself.
Yeah, and she really has to repair all of that narrative about being this detached parent who's more involved in her own life and really isn't involved with Ethan's.
But did she?
You know, I think she's hitting the beats that the defense needs her to hit. And part of that is, what did she know at the time? Was there this risk that was so obvious and she turned a blind eye? So the way that this is playing out, she's saying, I didn't even detect that there were mental health issues that would need to be addressed. And she's pointing to some of what we know is going to be the defense, which is the reaction of the school as a part of how this snowballed into the terrible incident that it did.
So then is this going to become an issue of credibility? Who do you believe? Because what she said on the stand today is directly at odds, Misty, with what the school counselor and the school principal said, which was that they were like, you need to, this boy is having some issues. These are really disturbing drawings. And she tries to, oh, it's no big deal. We have a tattoo artist in the family. Can you guys explain that to me?
Yeah, so I think from that perspective, you're right. It is going to be credibility. But from the prosecution, they're going to say the school, they're not in a position to know the ins and outs of Ethan's mental health day to day. They don't know that he has access to this gun. So their reaction of not escalating this to the next level to search his backpack, that's understandable because the parents didn't provide that information in the meeting. Now, take it a step further, this issue with the drawing, Jennifer Crumbley has said that this drawing was not really alarming to her. Why? Because Ethan liked to draw. There's tattoo artists in the family. It's artistic expression. She had been upset with him about his math homework the night before. It was on a math worksheet. She thought that was a jab to her as opposed to a violent threat. So that's hard to wrap your mind around from a juror's perspective, but it does play into that overall defense narrative. It's called intervening cause. Are there other causes not related to Jennifer Crumbley that this is the result of?
So over and over, we saw the defense lawyer, this is direct examination, introduce the same text messages we've already seen, which look pretty damning.
Yep.
Text after text after text from Ethan saying, Mom, I'm seeing demons. Things are flying around the house. Please come home. When are you going to be home? Mom, are you ever going to answer my text messages? She never answers.
Right.
We hear she admitted on the stand today she was having an affair. She spent a lot of time at the barn with her horses. Her Facebook page, even though we've got pictures of Ethan on the Facebook account, they're way outnumbered by pictures. She's got more pictures of her horses than she does of her son.
It doesn't play well. I mean, I know she has to explain why she didn't respond. And so I'm distracted. I'm having an affair. I'm with my horse. It doesn't play well, but she had to do it. She had to take the wind out of the sails. She had to offer an explanation as to why she wasn't responding. It had nothing to do with, I think my son is having some mental health issues. I should really address them. It really had to do with, I have this alternate life. I was distracted, but obviously if my son was obviously in crisis, I would step in and do that. We have a great relationship. It's going to fall pretty flat, especially when you're talking about the number of text messages and the crisis and the cries for help. It was over and over again that he was crying for help and no one came to his aid.
We also have today introduced into evidence before she took the stand, pages and pages of loose sheets of paper from a journal that were found inside Ethan's backpack, in which he writes, I have begged my parents to get me help. I've even thought of calling 911 because I'm home alone and I need help, but I'm afraid I'll get in trouble. My parents won't get me help. How bad is that?
Well, the defense fought tooth and nail to keep that out. There were actually evidentiary fights going on right before, saying that they're not relevant because Jennifer Crumbley's perspective, she had never seen them. They never searched the backpack. She was not aware of these journal entries. This falls into another issue, Elizabeth, where there's text messages between Ethan and friends where he makes similar statements. Now, the defense is arguing she wasn't aware of those statements. They had never been brought to her attention. So it all falls into the legal standard of what did she know before this incident occurred. And I think there is a lot of strategy from the defense perspective. I agree with Mercedes. Overwhelming evidence, parents on the jury. It's really difficult to wrap your mind around her omissions. But they are omissions, and that's what the defense will focus on, this uphill battle that prosecutors have in establishing a case of first impression with respect to the legal standards, especially with duty, causation, and proximate cause.
It's not enough that she might not be a likable person. She might be intensely unsympathetic and as both a person and as a mother, but that doesn't mean she committed a crime. Very, very quickly, Mercedes, I wanted to ask you this one question. Ethan Crumbley pleaded guilty. He was tried as an adult by the state of Michigan. If he was tried as an adult, why are his parents being held responsible for his behavior? We don't go around charging parents of 25 and 35-year-olds with being responsible?
I think that is such a great question, and hopefully the defense is listening, because that should be in their closing arguments. Her son was tried as an adult. Why, if you're tried as an adult, are you now trying to lay the blame on parents who had no idea that this was taking place? So that's definitely a brilliant way of striking that causation, saying he did it himself. He said it during his sentencing. It was his fault, his issue. He's the one that pulled the trigger. My parents didn't know. He said that during sentencing. They should really revisit that whole issue during closing.
All right. Well, tomorrow is cross-examination, fireworks. Get ready for fireworks. I'm sure it'll be quite an experience to watch that. All right. Mercedes, Misty, great to have you both here with your legal analysis. Thanks so much. All right.